My name is Maddie Fortelka, and I am at the point in my presentation where I'm going to talk a little bit about the prior research and etiology of ASD. So there are many theories about why autism spectrum disorder exists and what causes it. Some theories are more scientifically based than others, and some past theories have included the following. There was the refrigerator mother theory, which is basically that the mother was like cold and emotionally unavailable, and because of this, the relationship with her child caused the child to have autism. It was thought to be psychogenic, and the autism was a child's reaction to the mother's perceived rejection. Another theory was genetics. Original studies involved lots of twins. The rate of autism found among identical twins was between 70 and 90%, while the rate among non-identical twins was 0 to 5%. And interestingly, they found a 5 to 7% chance that a family who had a child with autism would have another child with autism. Another thing that was looked at genetically was chromosomal abnormalities. There are some that were associated more prevalently with the development of characteristics of ASD. The most notable was Fragile X syndrome. And then macrocephalus, which is enlarged brain size, which apparently went away in a lot of children by the time they were out of the early childhood phase, but there were other neurological abnormalities too that were said to be more common in children with autism. And then metabolic errors like gluten and phenylketonuria and the diet. And in my source, it wasn't really clear if that was prenatally, like when the child was gestating, or in early childhood, but those theories were kind of not certain. And then infections in pregnancy and early childhood. So there was a big study in the 70s that included congenital rubella and then encephalitis, and then also ultimately immunizations, and especially immunizations have largely been unfounded. There isn't research to support the fact that immunizations, specifically in measles, causes autism. So much of the biomedical science proceeds by tackling single hypothesized causes of medical conditions, even when multiple risk factors are established, although the concepts that a single or small group of genes would explain the vast majority of ASD cases had considerable traction not long ago. Today, it is broadly acknowledged that hundreds of genes may contribute to ASD risk. Thus, the prevailing consensus accepts multifactorial causation of ASD across the population. So that's basically saying there isn't really one known cause of autism. And this study that I focus on looks at a bunch of different, specifically environmental factors. So they're not focusing on genes, but we're going to focus on the environmental factors that could potentially be linked to ASD. So air pollution is one of them. Over a dozen studies have been published that have been full-scale studies. The pattern in the findings is generally consistent. Air pollution is highest in communities with the lowest socioeconomic levels in most of the U.S., which was something I wanted to note here. Nutritional, viral, and inflammatory exposures have each been associated with ASD. And then cigarette smoke was kind of inconclusive, and at some point I'd like to look more into that. Pesticides, so exposure to pesticides through like bug spray and drift from agricultural fields, residues in fruits and vegetables that are consumed by humans, as well as bioaccumulation from meat, fish, and dairy products that are also consumed, first consumed by the animals and then consumed by us. There were 3 major studies, and they all implicated prenatal pesticides in ASD. and there were observed associations of ASD with organophosphate pesticides or their metabolites. Another potential cause of note is a short interpregnancy interval, or IPI. There's a twofold higher risk found for children born after an IPI of less than 12 months compared with those born after 36 or more months. A short IPI might indicate maternal depletion of important nutrients like folate, and those nutrient deficiencies can remain for up to a year postpartum, and so having another baby right away is linked to a higher prevalence of autism. Interestingly, the World Health Organization also suggests waiting at least 2 years. And I don't know if that's based on this research or not, but I noted that. In conclusion, it remains difficult to pinpoint specifics regarding causation of ASD, though several links have been made, a few of which were highlighted here. New developments in epigenetics offer opportunities for exploration and research, and hopefully to expand upon these studies. And there are some areas that seem to require more study, specifically environmental chemicals and endocrine disruptors. BPA is a buzzword right now, phthalates. You'll see a lot of labels on personal care products labeled phthalate-free, as well as maternal nutrition, and that's during preconception, prenatal, and postnatally as well. So that is it.